funny seeing you here. You know what? You actually got here just in time because I just racked the Porsche to do spring projects in preparation for springtime driving. We got a few things to do. Stay tuned. Alrighty, I'm weirdly excited for doing spring projects on the car. It's actually just February, but you know what that means. It means time to spend way too much freaking money on the impractical sports car to get it prepared for very fun driving. We've got a lot to do with the car. Actually, everything that we're going to do is a result of further track proofing the car. I did my very first track day in September of 2022. That was great. The car did fantastic in stock form as far as like stock brakes and stock cooling system, but it could do better. And I will explain a little bit more as we go, but we've got several things to do with the car. First and foremost, we got to get these tires off because I'm taking that car to the shop to have the AC charged up because I just put a brand new AC compressor in it. So while I'm at it, I'm going to put the brand new tires, get those mounted and balanced on these rims because my old all seasons are completely shot after my one track day. So we'll have the brand new skins on this puppy, and that officially means that we are kicking off projects for the Porsche because it has just kind of been sitting there in the shop since October-ish. It's now time to do Porsche stuff. So what are we doing? We are, like I said, first and foremost, we're going to get new tires on this thing. Actual track-worthy tires, ones that will hook up and not be all seasons on a track. Second, one of the really big things that we're going to be doing is actually up at the front end of the car. We are going to be adding or changing out the radiators rather. The radiators that are on the car are the stock ones. They have seen better days. They've been on the car for now, let's see, this is a 2001 vehicle. So they're 22 years old in the stock form. Even when they were brand new, they didn't have the best cooling capacity ever, specifically for track work. Oh, and they have the plastic end tanks that are known to crack, and then they start leaking coolant. Fortunately, mine have not cracked. They're not leaking coolant, but they're probably not far from it because, as we've said so many times on this channel, aging plastics are the name of the game. Eventually, those things are going to age to where they crack, especially if I keep doing track stuff with them. I did not experience overheating during the track day, but the car was getting very hot to the point where I was getting a little bit uncomfortable. Again, not overheating, but it was not that hot of a day, and the car was very hot. So it concerned me a little bit, and therefore I decided, okay, original radiators, cooling capacity is not the greatest, aging plastics. All right, I'm going to go with the upgraded CSF radiators that have better cooling capacity because they're actually thicker radiators, and they're all aluminum end tanks as well, so they will never leak. So definite cooling upgrade. That's one of the big things that we're going to be working on. And then while we're in there, of course, we're going to clean the heck out of the entire, the cooling ducts on either side. Get all the debris out of there that could be nestled in there. I did clean it out about a year and a half ago, but we're gonna go in there and get that cleaned out again. Another thing that we're gonna do is flush the brakes, and I'm actually not going to do that until probably closer to the track day that I'm doing this year in July. So that's not gonna be a winter project, but we're gonna flush them with this Liqui-Moly racing brake fluid. What I have in there now is the stock .4 brake fluid, which is fine. But again, I could also tell that I was probably pushing the brakes a little bit, especially if I was doing a really long session, because I was doing 5 30-minute sessions per day at this track event 2 days in a row. There were a couple of the sessions, especially towards the end, where I could tell the brakes were maybe getting a little hot. I mean, the brake fluid was getting a little bit hot. I didn't boil them because they had been freshly bled. I was still thinking it probably would not be a bad idea to spend way too much money for so many of these tiny bottles and go ahead and flush the system with racing brake fluid. And somewhat lastly, we're going to come back to the back end of this car, and we are going to fix the spoiler in the upright position. Unfortunately, the spoiler is broken, and I have disabled it. The hydraulic on this side has completely popped, and it's broken. And I don't want to spend the money to get a completely new hydraulic system. It's very, very expensive to get even a used one, and there's no guarantee that that one's not going to just go ahead and pop right after I buy it. So I've disabled it in the down position, but I was kind of thinking during my track day, this is dual purpose. Of course, it helps add a little bit of downforce. It's not a whole lot of downforce, but it's some. Also, as you can see, there are louvers in this, and if this is in the upright position, you're pulling even more air into the engine and into the intake, which literally sits right here. So especially at speed, under power, you're getting the ram air effect of cold air coming up and over the car, as opposed to a lot of it just slipping right on by towards the back end. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fix the wing in the upright position. Call me a D-bag, but I'm actually going to make it so that you can put it up or down depending on however you want it set. But for track days, I can have it set fixed in the upright position. So that's another project we're going to be working on. Lots of projects. Let's get P-Car track focused projects going. The other thing, and probably the biggest thing, which I am dreading a little bit because I don't know what I'm doing, but the biggest project we're going to work on is we are going to drop the transmission out of this car. Again, this will be the third year in a row that the transmission has come out of this car. No, it's great. Own a Porsche. It's fantastic. You won't regret it. But transmission out service for the third time in a row. This time, we're getting into the transmission. First time we did it for IMS bearings. Second time we did it because of the whole saga with replacing timing chain guides and everything because the engine was coming out. This time, we're actually working on the transmission because, again, I noticed during my track day, and I had noticed on the street too, the second gear synchro, especially when the car is cold, is going out. It's on its way out. And it made itself very apparent during the track day, especially on this one corner where I had to do a pretty high speed blip downshift into second gear. Usually the first couple laps of the track of the session when the transmission was still kind of cold, that synchro was fighting me big time, and it did not want to go into gear, and it made some really not so sexy grinding noises. So we are actually going to dig into the transmission, take it apart, and replace the second gear synchro. And the others seem to be fine, but we're going to inspect them while we're in there, of course. But at the very least, the second gear synchro is getting replaced. So that's a huge project in itself, because I don't know what I'm doing with transmission work other than going on a couple of YouTube videos that I found that are not so great, and then a couple of forum posts that are, again, not so great. So kind of flying blind on that front, but I want to learn how to do it. So those are basically going to be all the Porsche projects for the spring. Stay tuned. Pretty extensive video series to come. One of the things to note is, of course I could just start pulling weight out of this thing, right, to make this thing like very, very track focused, but I don't want to do that. I like how this car is perfectly daily drivable if you want it to be. You can go do a multi-thousand-mile road trip in it out to Colorado and back if you want to, as I did last June. I don't want to change the on-road characteristic of this car at all. Or if I'm changing something such as like having very aggressive brake pads in the calipers at the moment, I'm 15 minutes away from having the very normal everyday driving brake pads back in there. Stuff like that. It's like I can very quickly and easily revert it back to on-road status if I want it to. That's the intention. Have it be a very good track car, but also still maintain its character as an on-road car, which is what's great about a 911 from the factory. They are fantastic track cars to begin with, and fantastic on-road cars. That's why everyone loves them. They're just best of every world. They just do it all. You can even rally race them if you want to. You seen that new Dakar 911? Thing is sick. Anyway, enough 911 praise. We all know that they're the greatest freaking car that's ever been made of all time ever. But we've got a little bit of work to do on mine, being that it is a high mileage 22-year-old car, to get it to the point where I will feel very comfortable with just doing lap after lap after lap during future track sessions. So anyway, just wanted to make this quick video and say, hey, we're back with Porsche stuff, doing more cool things. We're going to have this car in a fantastic state very soon here. Thank you so much for tuning into Fun Ahead TV. If you have not subscribed yet, please do, so that you can catch all of this content. that is coming up in the near future. Thank you so much for tuning in to Funhead TV, and I'll see you guys next time.